Thank you for tuning in to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Nelson, and as I am speaking right now, there is a March Madness game going on right now. It is the Spartans going up against the Mississippi Bulldogs, Mississippi State. So while I'm watching this game, I'll give updates as this game is going on. Right now, the Michigan State is up 18-8. Going up against Mississippi. And I'll also talk about some of the matchups that happened last night, some of the games that happened last night, how the games have went on. But I'm going to keep this game on throughout the entirety of the stream. I love March Madness. I love watching that. So I can't help myself sometimes. And it also just gives everyone just a quick update on, like, if they aren't watching the show, like, if they aren't watching the game right now, I'm letting them know, like, what happens, something of importance, things of that nature. And then in the second segment, I'm also going to bring attention to Asur Thompson, who has a blood clot in his lung, unfortunately for him, and what exactly that means for the Pistons and, like, for his season, as well as a quick NBA recap of all of the games that happened from last night. And we also have our special fourth segment as well, so stay in tune for that and exactly what that is. But before I begin and go ahead with the show, I'd like to remind everybody to please remember to tip and to donate. To get your comments recognized, use the link that is in the description or the link that is displayed below the ticker on every single show segment. That is gsmcpodcast.net. Helps the show, makes the show much more interactive. And with that out of the way, let's go right ahead and let's continue talking about March Madness. Right now, Michigan State is they're up 20-8 going up against Mississippi. Mississippi is really struggling right now so far. Like, okay, they just missed a layup badly. Michigan State gets the rebound. And right now it seems like they're going on a run. Three-pointer by Michigan State misses, but they get the rebound. And again, like, I really like March Madness, so this is just a little update. But let's go ahead and, like, actually talk about, like, the main segment and, like, the main games that happened yesterday. And before I continue talking about, like, the games that are happening right now as I speak. And Grambling State went up against Montana State. That was he missed badly. That was the first match. Well, not the first matchup, technically. That was the third matchup of the first four bracket, where it's... Think of the first four like the NCAA tournament's like play-in game. So it's like they're playing for a specific spot in the bracket itself. And so Grambling State was fighting for the 16th seed against Montana State. Now, that first game for yesterday, that was a really, really good first game. And the common trend that happened with the NCAA tournament so far, like for the first four games, the first game yesterday was a really, really close game. Then the last game wasn't really that close. And it's sort of the same trend, or like either it wasn't that close or the scoring was really bad. I think it was more so the scoring was really bad in the second game. And the story sort of repeated itself going into this next matchup against when Grambling State went up against Montana and Colorado went up against Boise State. So Grambling State and Montana, it was very competitive. It went all the way into overtime, and if you guys paid attention to my short, I was on the absolute edge of my seat watching that game. It was so fun. Everyone was playing defense. Everyone was playing offense. The refs weren't calling anything. Well, they were calling a lot of, like, the right calls. I also brought that attention in another short that I did. The refs, we've had, over the year, like this previous year, we've had a lot of questionable calls that had a lot of fans scratching their heads, like, what, where, Not just in basketball, but also in football. And I don't want to bring up the officiating all that much because it's like, they officiate the game however they want to officiate it. But when LeBron's foot was apparently on the line, that, you guys know how I feel about LeBron. And it's like, nope, they're just robbing my glorious king yet again of a basket and winning them the game. But I digress. So the officiating in this game, it was really, really good. I really like how they allow the players to play and, like, decide. They don't decide the game. The players decide the game. And that was a problem with the Super Bowl, not last Super Bowl, but a year ago, with a lot of Philadelphia fans when they were like, why did the ref call that? Why did the ref throw that flag? That shouldn't have been a flag thrown. It was ticky-tack, however you want to call it. That's what the fans were saying. I'm not saying that they were right, but that's what they were saying. And it always leaves a very sour impression after you look at the outcome of the game, and it's like the refs basically determined the game for a lot of these players. And quite ironically, Rudy Gobert got fined for making this gesture to the refs because he was sort of implying that the refs had money on the game with that gesture. That was his gesture. I'm not saying that they did. I'm not accusing them of that, of anything like that, but that's what Rudy Gobert felt in that moment because he felt there was like a no call that should have been called, things like that. Now, just out of a timeout right now, Mississippi State, they're still down 8-20 against Michigan State, and it's starting to look like the first game of my bracket is going to be correct. Thank the Lord, because in the first 4 matchups, I was 3 for 4 and literally the very first game I got wrong, and it was very, very upsetting. But I digress. So, since I already talked about those previous games, I might as well go ahead and talk about the rest of those games that are like, and the odds going into this game. So, I obviously mentioned, oh no, the game froze. No, don't freeze on me now. Okay, there we go. I'm just going to use data because the Wi-Fi in this building is absolutely atrocious. So, again, I'm going to just go ahead and like give the odds on the teams that have the best chances of making it out according to the statistics that I have over here on a bunch of betting sites. So right now, Michigan State has a 63% chance of beating like Mississippi State. I can't give you the spread because like the game's already started. Jesus Christ, can this game please just continue? I'm having a heart attack waiting for it to load. Oh no. Just load. Regardless, BYU, the game is starting in less than a minute right now, and BYU is projected to have like an 80% chance of winning this game. And oh my god, there's so many people connecting to this stream that it's probably crashing and all that stuff. BYU is projected to win by more than 9 points, so they expect it to be a blowout game. I have BYU making it past Duquesne in this bracket, so I honestly wouldn't put it. I think this is a great. The probability of them winning is definitely high. Next game on the list is Akron going up against Creighton. They start in 49 minutes. Now Creighton has the best odds of making it, of beating Akron and winning in this round. I actually 100% agree with that because Creighton now, Akron should not be in this tournament. I'm sorry to say they should not be in this tournament. It is just, they got there in a fluky manner. It's incredibly fluky how they were able to even make it all this way. And I just don't agree with it whatsoever. Because remember, the team that they were playing against, for some reason, one of their players decided to foul when they were up by 1. And that just infuriated me. They should not be in this tournament. They do not deserve to be in this tournament. And right now, the site is crashing because so many people are trying to watch this game on this website, and it's really got me infuriated. But I digress. So going on into the next game, Long Beach State is going up against Arizona. Arizona has a 94% chance of beating Long Beach State. Those are some ridiculous odds, and they're projected to win by over 20 points, which, again, is ridiculous because usually when in March Madness and when that rolls around, most of the time, like, those blowout games, they don't really happen because there's so much pressure on a lot of these players, and most of the time, like, with that pressure, it really gets to them. Now, all right, I'm just going to see if I can actually go live in this game for once. Now, the next game is North Carolina going up against Wagner. It makes sense that North Carolina is without a doubt like the team to make it out of this game. They are the 1 seed, and they're projected to win by 25 plus points, which again is really ridiculous. But it's North Carolina going up against Wagner. I don't want to sound disrespectful, but ooh, okay. So right now Duquesne opens up the game with a 5-0 run. That's always fantastic for my bracket. Thank you. Now, next game on the list is Morehead State going up against Illinois. Illinois is the favorite by 85% according to DraftKings, and they're projected to win by 12 or more points. And again, this was another team that I decided to pick on my bracket. So far, very good choices coming in from me, at least with the odds. Now, here's the more competitive game. Oregon going up against South Carolina. Now, the odds say South Carolina, but I'm saying Oregon. I just have that gut feeling that Oregon's going to make it out. I know South Carolina has a great basketball program. They also have a fantastic women's basketball program, flawless regular seasons back to back, and you would assume that the men's team, they got to be just as good, right? But it's not always the case. Now, can this website please just load? Now, Oregon going up against, I really think Oregon's going to end up winning this round. Nevada going up against Dayton. Now, this one is another close game. Projected to be another close game, excuse me. Nevada is projected to win by just 1 point and has a 54% chance of winning this game. And I'm just going to check my bracket real quick. Yes, I do have Nevada making it out of the first round. That's always great. Now, Colorado State going up against the Texas Longhorns. Now, the Texans are projected to win by at least 3 points. Based on how Colorado State played that last game, I'm not very keen on them in the tournament. I think the pressure is going to get to them like how it got to them last game, and I'm not particularly confident. Now, University of Kentucky. I remember this team because St. Peter's knocked the University of Kentucky out in the first round. That was fantastic to watch. And again, University of Kentucky, they're projected to win by at least 14 points. So, even though they did lose to St. Peter's a few years ago, I still have them. I have them making it to the next round. Not really much that needs to be said. I mean, they are 14 plus point favorites for a reason. Now, let me just go ahead and just try to see if I can connect to the game. McNeese State is going up against Gonzaga, and Gonzaga, it has a 72% chance of winning in this matchup. They're 7-point favorites. So, again, I picked them to go into my bracket. I picked them for my bracket, so far very good. South Dakota State going up against Iowa State. 92% Iowa. I don't really think there needs to be much said because we all seen how talented Iowa is. They are projected to win by 16 points or more. And now we move on to the game that I'm 100% going to be tuning into at 9:20. St. Peter's going up against Tennessee. Now, Tennessee, they're 95, it's 95% that they're going to win. They're projected to win by 22 or more points. I just don't. I'm sorry. I've seen St. Peter's in the NCAA tournament. They became the first team from the 15th seed to make it all the way up to the Elite Eight. I am hoping that they make another run like that again. I am just hoping that I could have something to root for because as a Giants fan, as a Nets fan, there is absolutely nothing to root for in sports. And, I mean, there's the Knicks, but they're the Knicks. And it's like, please, St. Peter's, just one win. Just one. One upset. And I have two brackets, one where I pick them and one where I don't pick them. But, please, just win one. I don't even care if I mess up that bracket, just please. And next game on the list is North Carolina State going up against Texas Tech. Texas Tech is projected to win by 5 points. And, I mean, I think it's going to be a close game. This was one of the parts of the bracket where I was just like, I have no idea who to pick. And so I just went with Texas Tech, and it looks like so far like the betting odds have agreed with me. And next on the next game is Samford going up against Kansas at 9:55. Kansas is projected to win by 8 points. They are 70, and it's 72% chance that they're going to win, at least according to DraftKings. Nothing much that needs to be said. I mean, they are Kansas. Now, Samford does have the potential to upset. I don't want to blow off Samford like they're a nobody team. They do have a chance to upset. And last game on this list is Drake going up against Washington State. And I picked Drake upsetting Washington State in this game. And it looks like the betting odds have voted for me again as well. They are 1-point favorites, and there's a 53% chance that they're winning. So those are the odds, and those are the games that are happening tonight, and, well, tonight, in the afternoon, however you want to call it. But that's the end of the first segment. So now we're going to go ahead and pivot over to the second segment where we get a little bit serious and talk about the status of Asur Thompson and arguably even Amen Thompson. And you'll understand why I'm talking specifically about those Thompson brothers. More so Asur than his brother Amen. But I will be right back after this short break.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the news it fits, I'm losing shit. A stupid myth, you choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift. Oh.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
And we are back with the second segment of the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. A little bit of a longer break than usual. I wanted to try and see if I could get the game playing in the background of my computer instead of like being on my phone, because I think it being on my phone, it wasn't helping anything whatsoever. And like my phone just wasn't doing much. So I'm going to try this out, and like I'm sure you guys cannot hear anything coming in from the audio that's coming in from my computer. So that's always fine. But I'm still going to pivot over to talking about NBA basketball, even though this game is still going on, and I do want to pay attention to this game. I'll keep paying attention to this game, just to keep you guys updated with the score, things of that nature. But I really do want to talk about Asur Thompson and his status right now. But before I begin, I'd like to remind everybody to please tip and to donate. To get your comments recognized, use the link that is in the description or the link that is displayed below the ticker on every single show segment. That is gsmcpodcast.net. Really helps the show, makes the show much more interactive between myself and you guys. And with that out of the way, let's go right ahead into the next segment and update everybody on Asur Thompson. So the Detroit Pistons, they released a medical update literally a few hours ago, saying that Asur Thompson will miss the remainder of the 2023-24 season while being treated for a blood clot under the guidance of Piston team physician Dr. Ramsey Shihab of Henry Ford Health. Thompson has been cleared to resume conditioning and will begin non-contact basketball activities at the conclusion of the regular season with a gradual ramp up over the summer months in preparation for a full return next season. Now, I think this is rushing. I honestly think this is rushing him a little bit, and I pray that the treatment goes very well for him. I mean, he's been he's been cleared by the team physician, but sometimes they have made a little bit of mistakes. In some other sports, like, there are physicians that have made ridiculous mistakes as well. Like, there was, I believe on the Chargers, there was a quarterback who almost died because a needle punctured his lung, because the trainer gave him a needle that punctured his lung. I know it's not related to basketball, but still, that nearly killed him. And, you know, you have no idea, like, what this sort of blood clot could do to his career. Thompson appeared in 63 games this season with 38 starts, and he averaged 8 points, 6 rebounds, 1 assist. He led the Pistons in steals and blocks per game, and they selected Thompson with the 5th overall pick, and he spent his previous 2 seasons in overtime elite with his twin brother, Amon, and who was selected by the Houston Rockets just 1 pick before him. So, with that in mind, it's really like the Pistons, they cannot get anything right. They cannot, well, I don't want to be mean and say that, but it's like they cannot get anything going for them. Like, they draft they expect to get the number 1 pick. Nope, they get the 5th pick. Then they draft the 5th pick. Whoops, the 5th pick has a blood clot. It's like, it's bad luck for the team. And it really shows that, like, Detroit can't have anything nice. It's really bad luck. And I'm sure all the Detroit fans are just sobbing and crying and absolutely everything right now, because I would, if one of the rookies that was drafted to my team just ended up randomly getting a blood clot. And I say that, like, we're not entirely sure of, like, what could happen with his injury, because we don't know. We genuinely don't know. And the only other player that I could really compare this to is Chris Bosh, who had the exact same, well, I can't say the exact same thing, but he had a similar problem. How in the last game that Chris Bosh played was February 9th, 2016, and he ended the game with 18 points, 5 rebounds, and 35 minutes against the Spurs. But soon after, a blood clot was discovered in his left leg. Obviously, it's not his lung, but, you know, still, a blood clot is a blood clot, and it's still very dangerous, especially when you're athletic. And he'd been hospitalized with blood clot, and just a year after, he was hospitalized with blood clots in his lungs. So it started with his left leg, and then it ended up being in his lungs. Now, in June, an NBA doctor ruled that Bosh's illness is to be career-ending, and he was cut by the Miami Heat. And that was when Bosh. Now, I'm going to read off an interview where he was talking with Bill Simmons about his blood clot and sort of like what he was going through, because it is a very difficult. Hold on, I'm just going to look at the score of this game just to watch, because the game is still going on as we speak. Okay, Michigan State is still up by at least 10 points. Right now it's 29-18, so okay. Seems like the half is just about to end right now. There's 1 minute and 34 left, so I might as well go ahead and continue watching the rest of this game and wait until the end of this game to talk about Chris Bosh and Asur Thompson. I don't want it to seem like I'm blowing him off. It's just I really love March Madness. Now, okay, so Mississippi they have the ball. They shoot a 3, bucket. Now the score is 29-21, and there's a foul on the play. Okay, that's odd. Now, while they're sorting that out, I might as well go ahead and continue with the Chris Bosh story. So, Chris Bosh, when he was asked, he was asked by Bill Simmons, was the blood clot issue in your lung in 2015 life-threatening in the moment? And Chris Bosh answered with, yes, it was life-threatening in the moment. I didn't know it I didn't know it was life-threatening, and they were like, yeah, we're going to check you into the hospital. And as I'm being checked into the hospital, I see that the Heat just traded for Goran Dragic. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what all this stuff means. Now, hold on, I'm just going to quickly pan over to the other side. Ugh, a foul on the play. Skip it, I don't want to see it. So they ended up trading. He had no idea why. But then they start hooking him up to machines, and they start telling me, this is Chris Bosh saying this, they start telling me the next 24 hours is crucial. Then I had to call my wife, and she Googles blood clots, and I think it was Jerome Kersey, forgive me if I botched his last name, he had just passed. And so she's freaking out, I'm freaking out, and then when I think I'm going to the hospital, they're like, yeah, no, we've got to do surgery on you. So that was very, very quick. And that was a very crazy way to break the news. Like, okay, took up 3, airball by Michigan State. That's not good. But again, with the Chris Bosh, that was very, very quick. Like, the news broke like that. And it really shows that, like, your career and, like, your life and everything that you do, it could be over in the snap of a finger. And, okay, so BYU, the game against BYU and Duquesne just started. BYU is down 5-14. Okay, this is not good. That is not good for my bracket at all. That is fantastic. Great. And Mississippi, oh my God, Mississippi just hit a 3. And now the game is close. They were up 20-8, and now the score is 29-24. R.I.P. Kobe. Now, we're going to see if Michigan State can... Okay, Michigan State calls a timeout for whatever reason. And more talk about the Bosh. I found that our 4 days later, been in the hospital 4 days, I'm like, all right, going home. And they're like, yeah, we've got to do surgery on you tomorrow morning. We've got to really just go in there and clean it out. And so I had surgery and was there for another week. It was a very interesting time, very, very tough time in my life. And then after that, I came back the next year, and then going into the All-Star break, I played every game, and then going into All-Star break, felt a little soreness in my calf. I'm like, let me just make sure everything's cool. Then there was a distal blood clot, but when you say that, everybody just jumps for the moon. I was like, oh my God. Then Simmons responds with right. Then Bosh says, and the season was a wrap. Tried to get back, but it just didn't work. Simmons asked, did they ever tell you why they thought you had this? Just total fluke? Or then Bosh said, yeah, I don't have hereditary markers. That's the first thing they check for, is it hereditary? And that is a very, very big problem, which is why I brought up both of the brothers, not just Asur, but Eamon as well. Because if it is hereditary, then there is a huge possibility that this could also affect Eamon as well. And it could end both of their careers. And obviously, like, that is something that you really don't want to see, like, because these guys are young. And it's like, they literally just started playing basketball. And now their careers, like, is ending like this. Well, I'm not saying it is, but it's like, it's a possibility. So I'm just throwing it out there. I don't want to, like, spread any, like, bad or, like, news that's untrue, because right now Asur definitely has a blood clot, but we have no idea whether or not it's hereditary or if it is just random. So we pray that it's not hereditary and it is just random for him, so that way his brother can continue his basketball career. And we pray that he makes a very speedy recovery and he could come back to playing basketball, because when Chris Bosh got it, I don't want to say his career was over, but he already had a lot accomplished in the NBA at the time that he had this issues with his blood clot. He was already a star with Toronto. Then he went and famously joined the Miami Heat super team with LeBron and Dwayne Wade, and he won his 2 championships, and he's already cemented himself in history. He also has his jersey retired with the Miami Heat. So again, already cemented himself in history, and it's just really sad because Asur and Eamon, they haven't done anything in the league yet, and it's just like they go into the league, and it just ends just like that. And it's really like it's really tough to talk about, and that's all that I have on the subject, because again, we have no idea how bad this really is. So I will continue to give updates on Asur's health and how it goes, but with that, we are out of time for this second segment. So join me for the third segment, where I give a quick recap of all of the NBA games that went down last night. So I will be right back after this short break.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
And we are back with the third segment of the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I apologize for that longer than normal break, but how'd you like that new ad? So, regardless, let's go ahead and go into the third segment. I have another game going on in the background, so I'll see exactly what game this is, because I'm using a streaming service right now provided to me by Quinnipiac University. Shout out to them. And I'm just going to see exactly what game this is, and I'll just give quick updates on what I think and what's happening. So, but let's just go ahead and give a quick recap of NBA basketball from last night and some of the important games that went down and some big stories that happened. So the first big story that I think I should talk about is Kevin Durant going up against the Phoenix Suns going up against the 76ers. Kevin Durant, he ended the game with, so it looks like this game is Auburn going up. Not Auburn, Akron, pardon me. So, regardless, the Phoenix Suns, they won 115 to 102. Kevin Durant, in this game, just passed Shaquille O'Neal in the scoring category. So now Kevin Durant is ranked 8th all-time in scoring, just passing Shaq, obviously. Shaq gave him his flowers. And one thing that I do remember, Paul Pierce, he said this about KD. He said if Kevin Durant did not get injured did not play if he played all the games without getting injured the way he got injured, he would already have 40,000 points. And I don't really want to touch on this much, because he's only saying that because LeBron James, his literal father, is the one who holds the 40 points record. And obviously, he's going to do everything in his power to talk down on LeBron. That is just who Paul Pierce is, because he is bitter, he is sad, he is very, very annoyed that LeBron just seems to ruin everything in his career. And that's just the way it is. That's why I said that LeBron is his father. He's not really his father, but you guys get the idea. And obviously, if you have that one guy that's just constantly being talked about and just diminishes everything that you do, you're going to feel some type of way. So it makes sense. He's just triggered. He's mad, and he's doing whatever he can because now he's not playing in the league, and LeBron is still playing in the league, and it really looks like LeBron is still the best player in the league. So, but I digress. So I always got to make it about LeBron. I'm sure that's what all of you guys are saying. Oh, he always has to make it about LeBron. Well, guess what? Tough. So Kevin Durant ended the game with 22 points. Let's see his shooting. 10 of 18 from the field. Grayson Allen ended the game with 32 points. 9 of 15 from 3. 10 of 17 from the field. One of the craziest stats that I saw was that in this season alone, he's had 9 games where he's hit 5+ 3-pointers or more. If I remember correctly, I believe that was the stat. And regardless, Grayson Allen has been phenomenal this season. And he's really shown that he can be a very important asset to the team and going into the playoffs because, that's sort of the things that, Phoenix, well, they don't have the defense, they have the scoring. And I guess, you can have scoring, but it's you should have defense to fall back on. On Golden State, when Kevin Durant was on that ridiculous super team, when he was playing with the Avengers, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Sean Livingston, Andre Iguodala, all of those guys, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. When he played on that team, the Golden State Warriors, they might have been the greatest offensive team ever assembled, but they also had great defenders. Klay Thompson was an elite defender. Draymond Green was an elite defender. Kevin Durant, while he was mainly a scorer, his length made it a lot more difficult for a lot of small forwards to get clean looks at the basket. Let's see. JaVale McGee, he was a great defender. Andre Iguodala coming off the bench, since he didn't have to really score the ball that much, he could focus on the defensive side of the ball, which he did phenomenally well. And again, it's always you have something to fall back on, because if one of your players doesn't play well, for example, Bradley Beal going 1 for 6 in this game with 3 points, you have something to fall back on, and you have something that's reliable and efficient to fall back on. But that's just my take on it. And Devin Booker ended the game 7 of 15, 18 points. Not really much that needs to be said about this game because, Philly has been playing absolutely terrible without Embiid this year. They are really bad. I'm going to do some math real quick. Let me see. So they're 26-8 when they had Joel Embiid. And they're 12-23 without him. So, obviously, I was wrong in thinking that this team would be able to answer back to a lot of these teams and win a couple of key games. I was completely wrong. But not much that needs to really be talked about for that game. Another game that went down was OKC going up against the Jazz. Again, not really much that needs to be said about this game because, Shai Gilgeous, he obviously ended the game with 31 points. Every single time I look at that box score, he has 31 points, and I just don't understand how he does it. He is one of the greatest. He is one of the best guards that the league has seen right now, and it's really, really impressive what he's doing for the Oklahoma City Thunder and what he's doing for basketball as a whole. And it's people really forget to talk. They say he's the MVP, but at the same time, they say Chet is the Rookie of the Year. How does that work? I don't understand how that works whatsoever. How are they going to argue? I think now, the Chet Rookie of the Year debate is just completely over. I don't think there's anyone that can say anything about that debate whatsoever because Victor Wembanyama is clear-cut Rookie of the Year, arguably Defensive Player of the Year. And since we are talking about Victor, there was an interesting stat that I looked at. With 13 games left, Victor has more blocks and steals than the last 9 players in their Defensive Player of the Year winning seasons. Maybe he's the Defensive Player of the Year. Who knows? I think, and another interesting stat, the last 15 games that Victor Wembanyama played. When he's on the court, the Spurs are ranked number 1 defensively. When he's off the court, they're ranked 25th. So obviously, he brings a lot of value to the team on the defensive side of the ball. But Rudy Gobert, he still has that argument. And we'll see exactly like which team ends up, which player ends up winning it. I can't believe I said team, but it's really ironic because while it's an individual award, it's really determined by team success sometimes. And I don't understand like where that's coming from now in this modern era where it's like wins sort of have to determine. Like I get wins determining value. I totally understand that. But for other awards like Defensive Player of the Year, it's just looking at a player and its defense. Like the defense, yes, it could bring value, but it doesn't bring as much value as offense because the goal of winning the game is to put the ball in the hoop more times than the other team can put the ball in the hoop. And that's what the game, especially in this offensive-heavy era, that's where the game boils down to. But I digress. Not really much that needs to be said about this game. There's no really outlying scores. Well, Colin Sexton, he ended the game with 25 points on the Utah Jazz. I mean, Chet Holmgren ended the game with 25 points, 14 rebounds. Also had a poster but I mean, he's 7'2". You really expect him to get a poster, right? And let's see. Jalen Williams ended the game with 18 points, 4 assists. And again, really consistent game coming in from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 31 points. Again, he just gets all the points. He just gets 30. He gets 31 every single night. Next game on this list is the Clippers going up against the Trailblazers. Now, the Clippers ended up winning 116-103. Very dominant win coming in from the Clippers. It was so dominant that James Harden decided to play defense on his own team. If you guys paid attention to Instagram, there was literally a clip of James Harden. He passed it to Kawhi in the corner, and then he ran out to Kawhi to close out as he shot the three. If you guys remember, I know you guys are not going to like me about this, but when LeBron did it first, when Rajon Rondo faked the lob and LeBron James faked the swat, that was sort of the same vibes. The difference is that Kawhi Leonard didn't end up making that shot. But still, very dominant win coming in from the rest of this Clipper squad. Paul George ended the game with 27 points. James Harden ended the game with 19 points and 14 assists. Kawhi Leonard ended the game with 24 points in an and one. That was a very good clip that I saw of him getting that basket. Now, the Trailblazers, again, without Dame and without really any future, there's not much that could be picked out of this game. I mean, Scoot had a pretty good game, 18 points, 6 of 15 from the field. But these are the Trailblazers. They're bottom feeders. There's not really much that needs to really be talked about with this game. So let's just move on. Now, the Pacers, they went up against the Detroit Pistons. Obviously, they ended up winning because it's the Pistons. And the Pacers, Tyrese Haliburton, he finally had a 20-point game after what feels like 3 weeks. Good Lord. And shot 9 of 13 from the field. Now, of course, when I talk about him, now he's deciding to let me just remember to play basketball. Come on now. And he ended the game with 9 assists. Pascal Siakam ended the game 25 points, 8 rebounds. So, very good game coming in from him. Now, Aaron Naismith, 14 points. And again, with the Pistons, there's not anyone on the team that's good enough to lead them. Cade Cunningham, he's inefficient, but he does get a lot of points. In this game, however, he only ended with 23 points, ended the game with 10 assists, but he shot 22 shots. So very inefficient. But again, especially after this Asur Thompson blood clot, they're really not going anywhere. I'm sorry, this team has really no hopes and dreams anymore. And there's not really much that needs to be said because, the Pacers, they just did what the Pacers do best. They play offense, and they do it very well. Now, next game on this list is the Miami Heat going up against the Cavaliers. Jimmy Butler ended the game with 30 points. I mean, yay. Sure, playoff Jimmy is back. Sure. That's what that's what everyone's probably going to say just looking at Jimmy once he goes into the playoffs. And it's whatever. I'm sorry. I'm not a big fan of playoff Jimmy Butler. I think he's a myth. He's only good in the first round, and that's really it. Is that really playoff material, just being good in one round? No, you got to be good every single time the light shines brighter, you have to be better, especially as the star player on your team. Now, and with the reputation that he has, like, if he didn't have that reputation, I would not be this harsh on him and his playoff prowess. But that's just me. And Terry Rozier, 24 points. He's been very, very good for this Miami Heat team. And Nikola Jovic, not Jokic, ended the game with 14 points, 5 of 12 from the field. There was no Bam Adebayo. But no Bam, no problem, going up against the Cavs. Now, the Cavs, they still don't have Donovan Mitchell. They still only have Darius Garland, 20 points. He played 41 minutes. Jarrett Allen ended the game with 25 points and 20 rebounds. Good Lord. And Karis LeVert ended the game with 16 points and 12 assists. Again, these are ridiculous stats that are coming in from the Cavs. And let's see. Georges Niang ended the game 18 points. And while it was a very close game, the Heat ended up going out on top. The biggest difference being the Heat's defense, and I think is their defense, and Jimmy Butler. The fact that Jimmy Butler was in this game, I know I said that playoff Jimmy is a myth, but I'm not saying that he's not good in the clutch, because he is, but only in really the first rounds most of the time. In other rounds, he's a bit meh. I'm sorry to say, it's just it's whatever, but I digress. Now, the biggest game on this list was Milwaukee going up against the Celtics. Now, the Celtics ended the game winning 122-119. The Bucks, I really don't think they're going to do much. They can't beat the Celtics, and I understand the Celtics played at home. They also didn't have Giannis, and it's very, very odd. For some reason, Damian Lillard plays a lot better without Giannis. I don't know why. I don't know what it is, but he plays so much better. With Giannis, he's averaging 23.9 points, 4 rebounds, 7 assists, 42% from the field, 35% from 3, and 92% from the free throw line. Without him, he's averaging 31 points, 8 assists, less rebounds, but 4 rebounds, that's just about it. 49% from the field, 45% from 3, and 95% from the free throw line. I don't know how he puts up more points and shoots much more efficiently without Giannis Antetokounmpo. The whole reason why he got paired with Giannis was so that way he doesn't have to do much, or he can still do a lot on the offense while still have a buddy on the team to also do a lot on the offense. That was sort of the reason why they paired them up together, because they were going to be the next 1-2 punch, the next Kobe and Shaq. And I know those are ridiculous aspirations, but these are the talks. And I think it's absolutely absurd, because it's why? How is he playing so bad when he has Giannis, someone who can facilitate and make better and give players a lot better looks because he draws so much attention? It doesn't make any sense to me. I just don't get it. But I digress. So, going into the Celtics game, Jason Tatum, he ended the game with 31 points. Derek White ended the game with 23 points. And Jaylen Brown ended the game with 21 points. Kristaps ended the game with 17 points. Again, this team is just ridiculously stacked in all positions. When they all play well, it's very, very, very difficult to beat them. I think the only team that really has the best chance of beating them is the Denver Nuggets. But that's just my personal opinion. Now, let's see. Going into Golden State, going up against the Memphis Grizzlies. They won 137-116. And let's just go ahead and take a look at the box scores of this game. Now, Kuminga, 26 points. Andrew Wiggins, 22 points, 10 rebounds. Steph Curry, only 14 points. None of the starters played more than 30 minutes, which really goes to show how they really took this game. One of the biggest story wasn't even really the game itself. It was more so, believe it or not, Draymond Green getting into another fight. I don't understand how he gets into these fights all the time. Maybe he does have a legitimate problem. I'm starting to think that he does have a legitimate fighting problem, because there's no way that he just constantly gets in these fights despite constantly getting warned don't get into fights. I just don't understand what his logic is. I don't understand why he keeps doing this and keeps putting his season and his career in jeopardy. Now, Gigi Jackson ended the game with 35 points. Santi Aldama ended the game with 27 points. Again, these are a lot of players that you don't really hear. When you think of Grizzlies, you think, ooh, Ja Morant. But since he is out for the rest of the season, not really much for the Grizzlies to do. Not really much for the Grizzlies to compete with. Jaren Jackson Jr. ended the game with 28 points. And even with all of this great performance from these players, they still got blown out by 20+. And, the Spartans and the Bulldogs are back to starting. That's fantastic. So now they're at the start of the second half, 31-24. So let me know in the comments, would you guys like that to be my fourth segment one of these days? Just watching and calling the game live. You guys let me know in the comments what you think. Tough shot by Michigan State. Great way to open up the quarter. Good job. Now, let's see. Okay, with that, that was basically all of the games that happened last night. And we are out of... Oh, wait a minute. I missed one. Sacramento Kings. Excuse me. The Kings, they played the Toronto Raptors, and the Kings ended the game 123-89. They ended up winning. The Sabonis ended with another triple-double, 13 points, 17 rebounds, and 10 assists. These stats are absolutely ridiculous from Sabonis. So far, the trade between the Pacers and the Kings from Sabonis with Halliburton, it's looking like a win-win trade. And the Raptors, obviously, they're incredibly short-handed with not having Scotty Barnes in the lineup. So what I thought was going to be a play-in team ended up not being a play-in team. Scotty Barnes, he definitely served me well for fantasy basketball. He was a great pickup. He got all the stats that I would need him to get. De'Aaron Fox ended the game with 20 points, 8 of 15 from the field. Malik Monk ended the game 6 of 12 from the field, 17 points, 1 of 7 from the field. From 3, Harrison Barnes, 6 of 9 from the field, 16 points. And again, really dominant win coming in from the Kings, and it's a much expected dominant win coming in from the Kings. Let's just go ahead and look at this game. Okay, so Spartans are hitting some free throws. Score is 35-27 right now, and Mississippi ends up having the ball. So this will be the end of the third segment. So join me for the fourth segment, where I go ahead and talk a little bit more about Kevin Durant passing, making it to the top 8 in scoring, because I touched on it a little bit, but I didn't really talk about it as much as I wanted to. But let me know in the comments if you guys would rather listen to what's going on in this game right now, listen to what's going on in future games, or if I just continue doing the fourth segment the way I've been doing these fourth segments. So I will be right back after this short break. Good.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
And we are back with the fourth segment of the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. And in this fourth segment, we are going to talk about Kevin Durant being top 8 in scoring. And I'm going to talk again about Paul Pierce's comments about Kevin Durant and his scoring prowess, as well as continue to bring up the rest of this Michigan State and Mississippi game, because it does look like it's a very competitive game going on right now. Ooh, and one of the Mississippi players just got hit in the head. Ugh. Ooh, that was a really tough hit. So we'll see like what the call is, whether it's going to be a technical, whether he has a concussion, if he's good. Right now he's sitting on the bench. But let's go ahead and talk about Kevin Durant being top 8 in scoring. Obviously, when you think of KD, you think of him being one of the best scorers of all time. Simply because like he is a very, very rare breed of basketball players where he is super tall. Turnover by Mississippi State. Let's go. So he's super tall, but he was sort of like the start. I don't want to say he was the start of like allowing other positions to like handle like him, but he definitely did play a part because going into the NBA, he was 6'9", right? But since he was relatively young going into the league, he ended up getting a growth spurt. Ooh, offensive rebound by Michigan State. And one. Nice basket. 37-29 Michigan State right now. But regardless, Kevin Durant, he was 6'9" as a teenager. Makes sense, right? Because, he's a basketball player, super tall. However, going into the NBA, his height, he grew since like his rookie year up until now. Like before he was listed as 6'9", but when you compared him to the height of DeMarcus Cousins, I almost called him Boogie Cousins, but when you compared him to DeMarcus Cousins, his height, he was right here, and DeMarcus Cousins was like right here. And everyone's like, okay, he's clearly not 6'9", because if he was 6'9", then it would be like this. So then it was later updated a few years with when he had shoes on. Like it was actually updated quite recently where like they go every single year with the NBA turnover. Oh my goodness. Every single year in the NBA, they now like give a fully updated like height cap with like player with shoes on. Nice shot, Michigan State up by 10. And they also give an update on like just the player's wingspan, all of that in general. So they did that with KD, and they figured out that he was actually 6'10", 6'11" with his shoes on. So obviously, like, he's really, really tall. And it was sort of no one has ever really seen a 7-footer do the type of things that he did. Like, the type of ball handling that he displayed and the type of shot selection that he displayed. Nobody has seen that before. It's like he could handle the ball like a guard, create any type of separation that he wants. And there's nothing that the defense can really do because 9 times out of 10, perimeter defenders can't contest him because he is so much taller. So every single shot to him is like an open shot, unless now in this league we have players like Giannis Antetokounmpo who are lanky enough and are tall enough to be able to defend him and defend him relatively well. And LeBron James, obviously another good defender that's able to defend him pretty well. Ben Simmons, I mean, I didn't want to mention him, but if Ben Simmons is the type of player whose frame and weight is good enough to defend Kevin Durant, is he going to defend Kevin Durant? No! He'll never do that. He'll never try to play defense on Kevin Durant. I doubt he's even going to try to play a game against Kevin Durant. I'm sure he's going to try to sit down, watch it from the sidelines, like a nice bench player that he is. But I digress. So, okay, that was a tough shot by Michigan State. I don't know if that was a foul or if that was intended. But now Michigan State is up 41-29. Way to make a statement going into this next half. But again, like, he is just a different breed of players that we've just never seen before. And this is sort of like evolved the game in a sense, because now people are realizing, these small forwards and these power forwards, they can handle the ball too. Maybe we should give them the ball a little bit more. And now we have a player like Victor Wembanyama, 7'4", and can handle the ball like a guard. And everything that I said about Kevin Durant applies with him, except it's like it's on steroids, because now he's 7'4", and nobody can contest him. Literally, not even Kevin Durant can contest him. He is that tall. And it's honestly like it's a cheat code. There's really nothing, no other way to put it other than it being a cheat code. We've never seen anyone so naturally gifted in height and gifted in like actual, like, skill on the basketball court. Now, when I mean by skill, I mean by, obviously, if you have to be very skilled to be in the NBA. But I mean, like, ball handling skill. Because usually when you're a big man, you're very slow on your feet, and you're very slow handling the ball, and you're also not that good at shooting the ball. Most of the time. Now it's a little different with how the game's been evolving, but most of the time that's the stereotype and that's how it's been. But as the league has sort of progressed and as KD started to get better and better, a lot more forwards have been able to handle the ball more because a lot more teams have realized, okay, like, we can let these guys handle the ball. Like, we don't have to just make the guard bring the ball up every single time. And obviously, Kevin Durant, he doesn't bring the ball up every single time because, like, they actually can run plays for him where he just goes off of a screen and takes a really nice mid-range. And Victor Wembanyama, he doesn't have to bring the ball up every single time, but sometimes he does. And it's like, we've never really seen this type of ball before. I also mentioned that I wanted to bring up Paul Pierce in his comments saying that he would reach 40,000 points if he didn't get injured. I touched on it and saying that, like, it was only because LeBron has 40,000 points. But in reality, the math isn't mathing. Like, I'll just pull up exactly how many points Kevin Durant has in his entire career right now. Just give me 1 second. Kevin Durant total points. So, well, my bad. I have to put total points in his career. There we go. So he has 28,610 points. So you're telling me in 1 year he is going to end up getting 12,000 points? You're telling me in 1 year he's going to get 12,000 points? The math isn't mathing. It's simply not mathing. Paul Pierce is salty. The fact that, like, he even said this statement is like, are you serious? Like, it's so counterintuitive. It's like he cannot choose whether to speak the truth or speak just complete fallacies. Because this is the same guy who said that Kevin Durant should not be in GOAT conversations. Like, that was, I mentioned it before on a podcast, like, that was the one time where he spoke the truth. And that was very, very true. Kevin Durant should not be in any GOAT conversation whatsoever, simply because of that weak move to Golden State. Those rings that he has are the easiest rings ever won by any athlete in any sport. They are the easiest championships that any athlete could have ever asked for. I am sorry to say that is just how it works, because he joined a 73-win team. I don't think there is any player in the history of any sport that has ever joined a team that has won that much and was a good player. I don't think that's ever happened. They joined a team that's good enough to try and beat that team, like LeBron. So at the half, DeQuincy seems to be up 38-30 against BYU. Oh no, my bracket's not looking good now. No. We cannot let this happen. No, please. Literally the first upset would be, oh my gosh. This isn't good. This is not looking good for me right now. Now, let me just go ahead and see I'll just go ahead and give a quick update on some of the other games that are going on right now. So, other than that game, Akron is going up against Creighton. So, that game finally started. Creighton is up 8-6 right now. So, ooh, what a putback by Mississippi. And again, I might as well go ahead and update on this game. Michigan State is going up against Mississippi. Oh no. Michigan State is throwing turnovers, and Mississippi's going on a run. Call a timeout. They're not going to call a timeout? What? Excuse me? Okay, Mississippi's hitting them with a full court press now, and it's really messing with them. Okay. All right. Now they just have to compose themselves. That really frightened me for a minute. And, Kirito MVP, what's up? I saw a rare thing in NBA 2K24. I haven't been on 2K in a while, so I can't really tell you exactly what were you referring to? Before I go ahead and end off the stream, tell me exactly, like, what you were referring to. Now, let me see. Oh, good Lord. Oh, no. Oh, and won by Mississippi State. Oh, no. Oh, it was on the floor. Okay. So right now the score is 43-34 right now. Michigan State is like, ugh. Michigan State is like, they're looking pretty confident, but so far it's like, they're letting it, they could let it slip away. They really could let it slip away. But again, more talking about like the KD situation, and like he's not going to get that many. I mean, maybe towards the end of the career he would, but regardless, like towards the end of his career, he might get. I could see him top 5 towards the end, but I don't see him getting 40,000 points. Now, Curto MVP in the chat, he said someone had Dale Earnhardt's signature on their court. I was like, is that? I hope he don't get sued. Oh, I mean, well, that's the thing. You can put so many images, like so many copyright images on that game, that it's like that don't really get flagged or don't really get sued, because no one really like looks at that as much. I've seen like a lot of Xbox profiles have a bunch of copyright images, and I mean, if it's a signature, I really don't think you can get copyrighted with a signature. That's just me, however. But with that, I mean, I really want to continue watching this college game right now, and this seems to be, this looks like it's going to be the end of the show. I'm running out of time, so tune into this game. Everyone, tune into March Madness. Be sure to watch the Peacocks as they play in 9-10. Thank you so much for tuning into the GSMC Basketball Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us, so please remember to subscribe to the show and leave a positive review. It really does make a difference. We also invite you to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram for more content and updates. Before I end it off, one more comment coming in from Curito MVP. Dale Earnhardt's third wife will sue anyone using the Earnhardt name. She sued Dale Sr.'s own children for their names. I mean, let's be real. Do you really think that she knows like that specific player and is using that specific signature in 2K? Like, do we really know that? I'm not entirely sure. Maybe that is crazy. Like, maybe she's crazy enough to like to actually do that and actually see that. But if it's just a random, okay. If it's just a random that's doing that, I think it's like really tough to sort of wow, okay, good dunk by Mississippi. It's really tough for them to sue. But that's just me. Again, I have no idea like how she's going to handle that, if that's even like a big deal. But I digress. So again, that's going to be the end of this stream right now. Be sure to tune in tomorrow where we might have a special guest going in on the show. And tune into the rest of these March Madness games that are going on, because they are very, very fun. Right now, BYU is at the half, 30-38. Duquesne's up 38, excuse me. So again, tune into all these games. These games are fantastic. And remember to tip and to donate to get your comments recognized. Be sure to use the link that's in the description and the link displayed below the ticker. That is gsmcpodcast.net. Really helps the show, makes the show much more interactive between myself and you guys. And that is the end of the show. And I am your host, Nelson. And as always, take care.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn.